And our guest for this episode is an expert startup founder. He is ER Rollan of Growsari. And he'll be talking about, again, the most important trade-offs and what are the pros and cons of creating these trade-offs and sacrifices that you do. Is it worth it? We're also going to be talking about the 4 burners theory that basically discusses, the things that you're exchanging, which is family, friends, health, and work. And which ones are important during your career and your startup life. And lastly, we will be having a very special Founders Only Top 5 reel. He will be giving flowers to those people that he thinks are the most amazing founders in the ecosystem. That before, again, we start, like, comment, and subscribe in this podcast, because we are going to be creating a lot more content like this. And if you like it, give us comments over what topics you want to actually discuss here. And lastly, just give us feedback. We're also going to be available in all the major podcast apps. So give us a like and stick around, and let's begin this episode. Founders Only is brought to you by PayMongo, the payment gateway for business growth. PayMongo allows your business to accept online payments from customers through Visa, MasterCard, GCash, GrabPay, Maya, online banking, buy now, pay later, and many more, all with just one online platform. Sign up for free at paymongo.com. Also brought to you by Capita. Capita's software solution seeks to automate the equity management process for startups, including workflows around cap tables, ESOPs, due diligence, and transactions. Sign up at capita.com to get started with your digital cap table, ESOP, award granting, and all things equity. Free for companies with under 25 stakeholders. And brought to you by GoTime Bank. GoTime Bank is owned by the Gokongwei Group, the same companies that brought you brands you love, like Cebu Pacific, Robinsons, True Value, Toys R Us, South Star Drug, and many more. GoTime Bank makes next-level banking a breeze with its convenient account opening process. It takes less than 5 minutes to get started via the app. Plus, get your GoTime Bank Visa card at one of their kiosks for free. Download the GoTime Bank app today and experience the next level of banking. You may visit www.gotimebank.com.ph for more details. And SeekCap. SeekCap is a lending platform powered by UBX Philippines. With SeekCap, you can easily apply for a loan from 5,000 pesos up to 1 million pesos from the comfort of your home nationwide. Visit www.seekcap.ph, sign up, and apply for a loan now. That's www.seekcap.ph. Take your business to new heights by seeking capital with SeekCap. Welcome to the 5th episode of Founders Only. We have a very good friend of ours who's now 3 times in the podcast. The first time I've had him was like 2021 when they literally just raised, I think, their Series B, I think, right? For Growsari. And my God, what an incredible Phoenix story. Rose from the ashes and really did a lot of trade-offs personally and, as a founder. And then I also had him in the Unicorn sessions of Hustleshare. But again, you have to be here. You're easily one of my first guests, first top 5. But without further ado, let's welcome back to this podcast. Actually, first time on Founders Only, Mr. ER Rollan of Growsari. Whoop, whoop. Welcome back, my man. How's it going?
Thank you. You're always too kind with your description.
Because I just keep it real.
Thank you for having me again.
Yes.
Hindi ka nagsasawa. So
No, it's you, dude. I don't kid you when I say that you are you had the most candor in revealing how tough it is to be a founder. I remember on your very first episode, man, you just went at it.
Nashock ka ba?
No, and I can relate so much, but man, I've never heard so much, trials in a journey that, that it really almost cost you your family, right? And good thing you were able to take it back. And today, that will be the main topic of what we will be discussing, which is basically trade-offs, the sacrifices that founders have to take, and with the pros and cons of each decision that we take in order to chase the startup dream. Because sometimes, is it really worth it or not? We will discuss. We'll see again. The reason why I had you is because you're the ones who really have seen from the doldrums of nothingness So now what? Series C, and C, right? But before that, bro, how's it been since the last time I've had you on Unicorn Sessions? Because the first one, you literally just raised Series B.
Yeah.
The second one, this was the bull run of all bull runs.
Yes.
Everybody was raising. There were unicorns everywhere, and the hype was real. And just shortly months after, the funding winter, the investment winter happened.
Yeah.
So since that, what happened in Growsari?
What a segue. No, that's exactly what happened. I think I last spoke to you February.
Yep.
Last year. After that, parang what's gonna happen to the startup industry na, no?
Yep.
We went into this long winter. But it was really because people didn't know how to value companies anymore.
Yep.
Stock market was sort of everywhere. We were so blessed na we were able to finish Series C, di ba? Imagine if we did not get the round.
Luck.
Wala na, we're done.
Yeah.
So, although the super interesting thing about that was, I don't know if, I think I mentioned it in the first guesting, when we were in Series A, we were getting a lot of criticisms for not burning enough cash. Na parang, why are you growing ganito lang when you can grow so much faster?
Right.
And we're underspending. And then the pandemic happened, and then because it was not in our DNA to play this sort of valuation game for the sake of.
Yep.
We really wanted to build a serious business. When the tech winter happened, I guess because we were ever since wired naman talaga to do things a bit more sustainably. I mean, I'm not from the VC world, diba? I'm from the boring FMCG side of things, where we squeeze out every single centavo.
By the way, if you want to find out, his original episode on Hustleshare and the Unicorn Sessions is always going to be in the description box. So you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? There are prequels to this. So you can't relate, listen back to those episodes.
Yeah,
okay. So he's from FMCG.
Yeah, P&G, Unilever, diba? So parang we squeeze every centavo on packaging, on like supply chain. So that's our DNA. So when the tech winter happened, people are saying, oh, you need to have a runway of 3 years at least. Just to make
3 year runway.
3 years. That was the guidance, 3 years.
Ooh-wee.
I'm like, I don't even plan that long in terms of, diba, in terms of operational strategies.
Right.
So 3 years. And if you do that, you're not gonna grow anymore. Meaning, based on our economic model at the time, which is not so bad, if we wanted to do 3 years, we won't grow. We're just gonna
coast.
Status quo and coast, diba?
Yeah.
But that's not a good story. So clearly, there was a big shift towards maximizing value, profit, etc.
Correct.
So when that happened, we had a choice. We were present in I think 20 provinces in the Philippines. We were just about to, including sort of Visayas, Mindanao, which we're just starting to sort of enter.
Okay.
We had the choice to open more warehouses or really sort of turn the profit. So since we last met, we launched 3 businesses, new businesses, to sort of drive more margin in the same supply chain, diba? Nice. So there's the traditional B2B, let me sell products to sari-sari stores.
Okay.
On top of that, we launched a business called SariPay, which is a fintech business. So we're creating a payments ecosystem within the MSME universe. Plus, we're doing microfinancing and BNPL na B2B. Right? So we launched that. We also launched a logistics business called Tranco. Kasi we realized na we're doing so much. We're doing like 1,000 trips a day nationwide.
Wow.
So everyone could benefit from co-loading with us because we're penetrating the smallest of stores in all barangays. And everyone wants a piece of that mid last mile. Not really last mile to end consumers, diba? But some sort of a route to market. And we realized we can actually bring the MOQ down for everyone.
Got it.
By sort of just
they don't need to spend X amount just to be able to ship package 8 into. But I have a question on that. And this is very rare for startups because most startups can't even ship one product out.
Right.
Especially startups that are in 0 to 1 or 1 to 10. I've only seen this happen here in the Philippines for unicorns like Rollan and them, Kumu. They were diversifying now
Right.
taking multiple bets across multiple platforms.
Yep.
For you guys who are doing that, I want to understand the operational side of this.
Yes.
Because it's a startup within a startup.
Good question.
How do you even create those? Because as there's a startup life cycle, right? You're the mother startup Growsari. But there's now a baby who's 0 to 1, 1 to 10, and then you have to assemble a team and still make them bag. It can't be just a whatever dice roll that flames out. How does that work?
Actually, it's a really good question, Ron, because for us, it had to be building strength from strength. Hindi pwedeng you don't have, you play basketball, diba? You do a pivot.
Yep.
Turn. There's a pivot foot.
Yep. Pivot
Otherwise,
foot.
it's traveling.
Oh, yeah.
So the pivot foot is that thing that you do really well
as
a company, right? So that you're not, because if you travel, wala. Then that's when the everything collapses.
So the pivot foot, for those people who don't play basketball, so you have 2 feet. You can only, basically, one of your feet is planted as your anchor. The other foot can fidget around, but it's still anchored within that fulcrum on the center.
So for us, it's the sari-sari store density. That in every barangay, there is about 400 sari-sari stores. Or maybe not every barangay, in every cluster that we define.
Okay.
Which is our economic unit. There's about 400 sari-sari stores. And we only need 40 of them to order so that I can send a full truck for that day.
Okay.
To go to that barangay.
That's the tipping point.
Or that's the sort of the sweet spot, right?
Okay.
Of course, if it's 20, I can always combine 2 clusters together and it will still be sort of quite dense. Now, the beauty of that is when we send a truck to the barangay and we deliver to a sari-sari store, what's stopping us from delivering to a pharmacy, to a bake shop, to a salon? So the work stream is actually the same.
Got it.
And since I have people there collecting the COD payments of sari-sari stores, what's stopping us from doing a wallet cash in a transaction through the same delivery team?
Makes sense.
Collect loans, approve loans, educate them about certain
Still
things.
within that customer journey.
Yeah, so we actually didn't have to incur any new operating expense.
Wow.
And that was really the goal. The goal was to show to the investors that with whatever we've built, we can build margin. And that's why we can sort of drive this profit story forward. And it was all about not being present in all provinces, but showing that in provinces where we are in, this is how we're stacking value.
Yeah, you just went deep dive instead of going wide and go, oh my God, we're spreading our resources too thin. You went upstream even or downstream.
Pareho.
Correct. To really make sure that you productize. But bro, how was the operation side of this? Because it's hard, right? Were you 0 to 1 founder again, or did you have to look for entrepreneurs that can get things done?
Ganda nung tanong. So for us, it's not 0 to 1 anymore.
Okay.
Because we had like 1,000 employees, we have 20 warehouses, right? So there's a system. We're collecting so much cash every day. There's an infrastructure. What we didn't have was the depth in content on the industry we're trying to disrupt.
Got it.
Right? So I know how to do logistics. I know how to do e-commerce. I don't know how to do lending. I don't know how to do fintech. So we were able to bring in someone. His name is Sandeep. He's a 25-year Citibank veteran. Used to be the CEO of Citibank APAC, I think, or something. Like, really something that can bring his expertise in to drive the content that we don't know. Right? And then similarly, for our core business that we're now calling Sarimart. So Growsari becomes the umbrella company and then Sarimart becomes the B2B. We were able to bring in one of my good friends from PNG, si Mai, who left as like one of the CMO of J&J in APAC, baby care or something like that.
Okay.
And she's running that business. So we started to staff very deep experts that will know what to do with the infrastructure that we've built.
Got it.
So medyo dun kami nag-build on the content.
How long is their leash? So okay, now you operate like a conglomerate. You are the chairman, literal. I mean, and that's I've never had that experience. So I'm super curious here. And at the end of the day, you still report to your board as the mother company.
Yeah, of course.
And now these people that you brought in are technically running their own fief, their own kingdom. But there's a leash for sure. And how long is the leash, and how do you still align, knowing that, dude, you can no longer go to several layers down, because we're talking thousands of people now, or hundreds and hundreds of people that you probably don't even know. They're just on your spreadsheet now, on payroll.
Well, I don't know if there's actually a leash, so much so as there is a limit to their execution because of the infrastructure that we've built. Right? So for example, if I'm sending out too many loans, I'm just making it up, to an area, and it's busting the capacity of my delivery person, right? Then I have to reassess how we think about resources. So in a way, they're giving us new milestones to break our business and then rethink from there. So in a way, mas maganda na walang leash.
Yeah.
Or your leash is that you're not gonna incur more OPEX, right? So there's
a set budget.
Yes, try and make it work with this number of trucks, this number of people, and then they will come and say, "Oh, if you need to grow it this much, I need to break this," and we'll sort of rethink how to do it.
So my follow-up question with that, ER, is that, okay, I remember having a conversation with one of my friends, Fred Levy, who now has a new startup. Watch out for that. That according to him, he looks for when he looks for corporate peeps, he still wants to work with people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and do 0 to 1 shit as well. And now technically, yes, you're not 0 to 1, but it's still similar to startup grind.
For sure.
And it's technically starting from scratch. How do you even weed out those people who have already mastered, have all the accolades, have gotten the paychecks and everything, and still get them to buy in here and contribute as if it's 0 to 1 or 1 to 10 again?
Yeah. No, it's tough because, and we're so blessed because our leadership team is, they are sort of all roll up your sleeves type of people.
Okay.
But what I realized is that all of these people in corporate, they have one thing in common. They all want to make an impact. I feel like that's still a unifying desire for everyone, diba?
Correct.
The problem is, in most cases, the structure doesn't allow them to do it.
There's so many shackles.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to set up a meeting for the meeting that you will need to discuss for that.
Too much bureaucracy.
Diba? And that's not necessarily the fault of the big companies. They risk their operations that way. So I get it. I've been from that world.
And
also.
you're slowly, I hate to say it, but you're gonna go that route if this continues.
That's a good point. But that's something that we've made a choice to not do. So we had a discussion with a lot of our leads and our N-1, N-2 leaders, and all of them moved from all these startups that I'm not gonna name here that are now big and have become so bureaucratic. And so they're saying, I want to move to Growsari because the startup that I came from, ganito na. That's, diba? Then, when we do our sessions with them, they give me feedback naman na Growsari is so unstructured. We need to put some process.
They miss it.
Give us a checklist, diba? So, but I don't blame them because it could be chaotic. So, all of these leaders that we were able to get, we are all joining hands and saying, if we are to protect this culture, then we need to embrace ambiguity, even at this scale. And we're not really that big, but
dude, what are you talking about? You're 1,000 employees. Not really that big. I had Patrick Gentry here the last episode. He was already scratching his head and he said, what, 300, 400?
So,
what are you talking about?
No, I mean, syempre may mga 10,000, di ba?
I know, but you probably have, you and probably Steve G are the only guys Let us scratch 1,000 here.
Yeah. So ganon. So the idea there is we have to be brutally honest all the time. We don't have this concept of manco meetings where we need to do preparations.
Silos na.
We decide on, we call each other, we decide in WhatsApp, we do.
Wow.
So we have to keep it very, very dynamic. And that way, these leaders, they have to be motivated too. The moment they feel like, nag-pay cut na nga ako eh. And I know you're giving, nag-pay cut na nga ako, you're gonna throw bureaucracy pa at me, diba? So they need to feel like they have free hand in driving impact. And that's what we try to do. It's not easy, but I think that's what we sort of try.
Now recruiting those. Because there's no fucking LinkedIn job post that will do this.
Talaga.
This
Network
is all
talaga.
back channel na, right?
Network
That's
talaga.
also what I realized, that at a certain point, with a certain job titles, it's really your network that would net you those hires.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I hate to say it, the only way to fill in that right position is to poach.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to poach. But again, poaching comes with the dollars, right? You can't poach someone. Hey, take a 50% or 70% pay cut. Join us here. It takes a sheer amount of persuasion that needs to do. Now, in terms of persuasion, I want to now understand. At this stage of your startup of Growsari, how does the North Star still get defined, and how do you still get to persuade everyone to follow the North Star? Or is the North Star even the same North Star?
Siguro may konting, the impact to sari-sari stores is going to always be the core of it. But now we're saying, how do we then include all the other industries so that they can benefit the scale that the sari-sari store has given? So merong sort of profit angle na to it, di ba? Na parang, now that we've built this last mile through sari-sari stores, di ba? The apparel industry, the fintech industry, they all can benefit from what we've built. So now, because now you're pulling people from different categories na, di ba? Who are not necessarily dealing with sari-sari stores. And they sort of still need to see that picture.
Okay. Last question before we take our first break. So all rainbows are butterflies. Okay, you went upstream, you went downstream. When the winter hit, man, that's one of the scariest. It's still, technically, we're still
in it, yeah.
Right? What's the toughest decisions you've had to do during this stretch?
Actually, for us, imagine when we got the money from Series C.
And how much money, just if you range lang? We're talking about Series C.
The Series C is mga $77 million.
Holy mother. What? $77 million. Yeah. And that was a 3-year runway.
Yeah, a little bit more actually. If we even stretch it.
Wow.
Malaki yun.
That was a real nice runway. You can land a spaceship there. Okay.
But when we did the raise, there was a use of funds na appropriated for that, diba? And we already hired like a lot of people. Because we were so may ratio yan, diba? Number of sari-sari stores to head count, right. Number of fulfillment centers to head count.
Okay.
And that ratio was small because we needed to do many, many things very, very fast. But suddenly when the investor said, it's about efficiency, the ratios had to change.
Oh no.
So we had to actually in some cases part ways with people na join lang eh, diba? Mahirap yun. Or really change the mindset of the organization na parang if before there's 2 people who would do this job, ngayon half a person na lang yung budget for the same task, diba? So we need to build in a lot of tech, whatever. Pero yun talaga. Parang it was really a completely sort of different squeeze that they've not seen before. So for me, it's the letting go of people that we just hired.
Yeah, but what level of founder grit did you have to unlock there? Because imagine you sold them on the vision.
Yeah.
And you told them, we just got $70 million.
Yeah.
We got this, right?
Yeah.
And now you're gonna wait, sorry, joke lang. And it's not your call. And guys, when people make these decisions,
I'm
pretty sure as a founder, admit it or whether you admit it or not, you'd want to keep everyone.
Oh naman.
Right? no founder wants to let anyone go.
Especially the ones that have been with us for a long time. That we had to part ways because just the fit is not there. It's a different organization. Those, that I will take those with me to the grave. But
yeah,
some things you have to
do. The pain, it's like grief, na. It's like, oh my God. Now, all right. So again, when you do the cuts, this is now a running theme. Rollan went through the same thing. Patrick Gentry went through the same thing. Now with you, it's two-sided. You make the cut. You live with the pain of those people you had to let go. And then now, you also have to rally the team that's left.
Yeah.
Walk me through that scenario.
I think for us, ang maganda naman din sa amin, di ko alam kung talagang that's how we're wired lang. We typically would have every 6 months as a small cleansing. So we never really got that fat.
Got it.
The people that we had to let go were because we were trying to grow a certain way. So parang yung mga natira, it's not, we just had to tell them na we are pausing expansion, so we don't need the people anymore because we're not expanding.
Okay.
So hindi naman siya ganun kahirap. Okay. I think yung challenge was nagpapalit na yung let's say salary increases. Iba na yung delta eh.
Right.
Dati medyo mas maluwag.
Okay.
Because now if your growth is not gonna be as fast,
right,
then your wage
Single
bill,
digit. Yeah.
your wage bill is not, diba? Dati kasi we're doubling the business every year more. So if you have double-digit average wage bill increase, you can take it now, you can. So now you have to be more direct about you're good, pero diba, this is the reality of the ano. So yun, medyo tough din. And frankly, we lost a lot of good people along the way. But again, I feel like that's something that you have to get used to.
Dude, it's a cross you have to bear. And again, in the trailer of this podcast, the first words I said is heavy is the head that wears the crown. Where you think this is all fun and games? We throw around the CEO title like it's fun. Holy shit, it's so hard. But again, we will do a deep dive. Let's take our first break, and when we come back, we will now discuss the really hard stuff.
Ay, di pa ba yun?
No, this is just
joke lang.
foreplay, bro. We're gonna discuss the really hard stuff of a founder making these trade-offs of startup life versus growth and everything else. But let's talk about that more after the break.
Hey hustlers, are you tired of bank transfer fees and low interest rates on your savings? Say hello to GoTime Bank. GoTime Bank offers interest rates 50x higher than traditional banks. Enjoy this rate on your savings. No minimum amount, no deposit caps, and no tasks or missions to complete. With GoTime Bank, you can make quick and secure transfers to other banks with 3 bank transfers per week. Plus, earn Go Rewards points and redeem them as cash with a simple tap in the GoTime Bank app. Experience the next level of banking with GoTime Bank. Download the app now or visit www.gotime.com.ph to experience next level banking. It's GoTime! Hey hustlers, it's a brand new season and I have a brand new tool that will help you scale your startup properly as you grow your team and give them equity eventually. And if you want to have a record of ownership management, efficient equity workflow, and award grants digitally, Capita has you covered with CapMap. CapMap is designed to enable cap table and ESOP management, as well as digital share insurance for companies across South and Southeast Asia. Also, Capita provides ESOP advisory services for you to set up your plan and engage your employees through equity awards. And trust me, this is a boon because as you grow your team, you want to give their best people a piece of the company that they're hustling for. Investing shares and giving ESOP is not easy if you don't have a product like this. So please do check it out and sign up now at capita.com with a Q. Again, that's capita.com with a Q. And it's free for companies that have under 25 stakeholders. Get ready to experience the power of seamless equity workflow management today.
And we're back in the break. We are still with ER Rollan of Growsari, who's probably sick and tired of also being misnomered with Sarisuki. So just merge it together, Brian Ku and ER. Growsarisuki. Okay? So,
Growsuki.
oh, there you go. So that you just one startup. But dude, before the break, you told me again what happened during you had runway, but you still had to make tough decisions from a company standpoint. But during this part of the podcast, we will now be talking about trade-offs. Then let's start with your trade-off. Okay. Founders are so used to the survival mode hustle.
Right.
Like, wait, let's just extend the runway. We're going to be okay. And once you get used to it, you become really good. You feel like, there's no curveball that can get thrown at you that will not shock you. Until you realize there's always a curveball that will get thrown at you that you don't know how to settle with.
Yeah.
And as a Series C ... founder, what are the things that you are now battling with? Because there's always going to be something that will not allow you to sleep.
Yeah.
The stress is just going to be there. And like what they said, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
What are those for you now?
I think for us, when we went to this tech winter, which I guess we're still in, no one was handing out the rules of the game.
No.
Figure
it out.
That's the problem, right? In Series A, Series B, Series C, the goalpost was quite clear.
Yeah.
Like you hit this certain milestone. This is how we're gonna value you. This is sort of the comparison, etc. Blah blah blah. Now, walang ganon. So, I don't know how to sort of balance out aggression versus sustainability, or conservative versus aggressive. No one's telling me where the line is.
Wow.
And so you don't know if you're starving the organization, you're nurturing the organization, and you just sort of talk with your co-founder. Sometimes you ask your investors, but I guess they're also trying to sort out.
Yeah, they have no idea too.
Yeah, diba? So that's tough because how can you give clarity to your team if you don't have it?
You yourself are lost.
Yes. So, ang maganda lang doon, and I really have amazing co-founders. We realize na maybe we should just not care about the investor at all. Meaning, if we don't know what they're telling us right now, let's switch off that lens and say, we have a business.
Run it like it's
Let's run it.
a business.
Diba? And we have this much money. Let's see how much value we can create with the money that we've been given. Diba? That was a big one. Pero syempre, hirap kasi you talk to a VC, they're gonna say, this is what's important. Profit's important.
Correct.
Then you show profit story. Then they say, you're not growing as fast. Then you sort of do it, right? We've been in situations where in a span of a week, we've given the team 3 directions.
Oh my God.
Diba? And I really feel for them. And kasi kami nangangapa eh.
Right.
So we're trying to sort of do the best, diba? And the problem with these things is, when you're running an organization that is fairly large, it's hard to take some decisions back.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like 23 provinces. Like you change something because you're trying to go after something. Then you realize, okay, sige, ano pala tayo? Scale back tayo. Kasi nababaliw yung mga tao. So, and wala kang masasabi kundi, sorry.
Internally, you look like the biggest idiot in the world.
Yeah.
As a founder. Like,
that happens so many times to us.
Right. How do you repair that?
Wala. As in, I always champion vulnerability. Na as long as, like, just before this call, this episode is airing, there's some issue that we're facing na I felt like could have been prevented.
Okay.
Pero I have to remind, like, I was gonna lose my cool na, but I've reminded myself na, it's a mistake. And this is something that we need to embrace. So, and I've made mistakes in the past, and these guys are still with me. So, ganun lang.
Right.
Parang vulnerability, no choice. And I learned na pag mas transparent ka sa team mo na explain mo yung thought process. I thought, or we thought, this is the direction we're gonna go.
And we fucked up.
And we changed it because, and we don't even know why we're changing it. We just think this is sort of a better one. And that's it. And you'll also see who are the people that are there for it. Meaning, so they'll say, okay, I get it. Diba?
There's buy-in.
There's buy-in eh. But the people who simply don't want to deal with that, they're gonna leave. And for me, it's also okay.
Yeah. Because what people always have to remember, regardless of the size of the startup, is that it's a constant experimentation exercise.
Yes.
There is no handbook. This is not a franchise company that you'll be given a handbook for you to just do from page 1 to page 100. It's always on the search for something, and it's always uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Every time.
For sure. So that's one. And then second is I'm not able to really control na my replies.
What do you mean?
So parang
Devil ER came out?
No, replies in the sense that I'm not as accessible. Right? Not just to employees, to partners, to trackers. Diba? We our very, very first tracker partners, I would have lunch with them monthly, ganyan, diba? And then you're introducing squeeze programs. You're introducing efficiencies. They think we've just become so big that we don't care about their profit anymore, and we're squeezing every single penny, diba? And centavo. And before we were like a little bit loose on that. So there's also this thing that Grosari, Series C, plan ang pakialam yan, yabang. Ano na yan, dati they used to treat us like we're partners, now we're just suppliers. Which is obviously not true, diba?
Yeah.
But how do you take sort of everyone in this journey? So that to me is a struggle na how do I sort of create a familial atmosphere.
And
pa
you still
rin.
have 24 hours a day, unfortunately. In one body.
That's all you could do.
Right?
Diba?
Just, so like for us, similar in PNA, Podcast Network Asia. The very first 5 to 10, probably 50 shows, we had a very community-driven approach.
Yes.
But at 230, bro, how am I supposed to be? Oh, how are you, ah? Good thing my late co-founder was able to sustain that. But it's a strategy that we had to take. Like, bro, I'm gonna have to chase sales. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be present on the relationship side.
Yeah.
That's what we sorely miss now with him not being there. Now I have to do all of and everything end to end again, and the same problem. Everybody wants your time.
Yeah.
And it's not because they want their time. It's just that relationship building thing that you want to do. But we only have 24 hours.
And it's also not good for the business na it's dependent on you and me all the time,
exactly.
Diba? Nakatawa nga, I was reading the other day this article that Wavemaker, one of our investors, nicely did for us. Yeah, Paul. So they did a feature on Growsari. And then it just so happened that when they visited the warehouse, it was really within that warehouse that I know everyone in that warehouse.
Correct.
So in the article, sobrang generous nila. They said na they were so impressed that every single person that we met in the warehouse, I was calling them by name.
Yeah.
And at that time, I knew everyone.
Yeah.
I always read that article and I always remind myself na parang how nice if it's still true. But it's not anymore. Even when that article was written, it's not true anymore. But maybe we were just sort of in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But somehow I missed that. But I know that that's not something that I can sustain.
And that's exactly what I want to talk about now in Tradeoffs. Because again, time, effort, whatever are finite, are scarce in founders. We want to hammer it's whack-a-mole, right? Like all the moles are up. You only have one hammer or two if you have two hands. And it's impossible to invest everything that we talk about. And the reason why we were talking about this episode, guys, just for context, is we were invited and given an opportunity by the Business Manual. So shout out RJ Ledesma. And while we were preparing to go to the stage, we were talking about like, man, what are the trade-offs that we have to go through? Like, we're here, but somewhere this is time that we could have been spending with our family.
Yeah.
Right? we're both married. You have a kid, so that's double the attention you have to do. And what are we making in terms of these choices for stuff? So let's talk about the scarcest thing first. Time.
Yon.
Because, man, how many times did I miss important shit for my family? Not immediate. I always make time for my mom and my wife. But I missed certain shit that I missed because I need to do this. Talk about that first, ER. Like the pros and cons of the scarcest resource that we don't have control of even. Because at a certain level, your calendar is not controlled by you, na. Let's talk about that because this is the hardest part. Even before when you were in Singapore, right? It was already hard. How do you balance off the trade-off of the scarcest resource that you have? I mean, you don't have, which is time.
Natutunan ko yan na the best way, I think, for me to manage it is that when you're there, you're present. Kasi you know...
All in.
All in. Because you know that the frequencies may not be ideal diba? So, what I try to do is, when I'm with my family or when I'm with my son, I don't respond at all.
Hard stop.
Okay. But I realize it also works even when you're at work. That, let's say when you're in a meeting, and you're replying to messages, the meeting is also less effective.
Yeah.
Right? What I had to give up was I'm sure people don't tell me this, but I'm sure I have a perception that I don't reply.
Yeah.
But that's sort of what I needed to do. Na when you tell me that this is my schedule, I have to be physically present there, and I cannot have a virtual discussion elsewhere.
Got it.
Right? So, and then you just sort of try and make do with it. Catch up. Ganon, diba? So, for me, it's, I try to protect post-dinner kulitan with my baby.
Yep.
And then, usually Sundays with the wife.
Got it. No, but, okay. I'm pretty sure there was a struggle part of this before you came up with the structure.
For sure.
What did you almost lose with this struggle for a very scarce resource with this time? Because there are days where 8 hours just isn't enough in a startup. There are days where normal is 16, 20. Lucky if you even have 4 hours of sleep, right? And when you were doing that, what did you almost lose? And how did you slowly get to this structure that you have now?
Yeah. Feeling ko, on the personal side, I don't know if my wife will agree, and I don't know if she's gonna like what I'm gonna say.
Let's see in the comments on YouTube.
But for us, we're both busy. I feel like when we were this period of Series C+, for a while, hindi naman intentionally, I think na-compromise yung development nung anak namin.
Oh, why?
In the sense that he's not able to delay in speech, delay in learning. But it's because we're not talking to him. Or we're there, but sorry, Han, babe, ako lang hindi ikaw. You're there.
Happy life.
Ako lang.
Happy wife, happy life.
So, I feel like, shortcut ko Oh, yan, iPad, use it, whatever, diba?
And then, you just zoned in there.
Yeah, so parang, even though I would be home early, I wasn't sort of really there. And then we were really sort of observing na, and then the pedia would say, how can your child learn how to talk? You're not speaking with him, diba? So we had to buffer lang a lot of support. No, sige, give a tutor, give a whatever, ganyan, diba? Pero okay, so yun, diba? Parang dun ko nakuha yung quality over quantity. And then if you really can't sort of do that, find a way to have sort of dependencies or buffers in the system. Same with work. I realized na when I'm sort of gaining dependence on this person, when that person leaves, patay. Diba? Or when that person is sick or whatever. Yeah. So, I've started to so there are situations where yun na-realize ko na saan ba ako nasistress? Nasistress ako if no one picks up the ball. No one picks up the ball because that person supposed to pick up the ball is doing sort of
something else.
Something else. And I have to sort of cover that, right? So it's important that while you love your one downs, you also have to work with your one downs to have a plan for their one downs.
Correct.
And honestly, they love it. Because when you ask them, who among your people in your team you think can replace you?
Wow.
And how do we groom that person?
Got it.
And it's two-way, diba? So kasi if they're able to groom that person, that means they're also ready for the next step.
Yeah. And you can now just be a chairman.
Yes.
And spend as much time in
Medyo malayo pa yung chairman.
Wow,
but it's a little, you just have to sort of push the discussion around. Saan ba ako dependent? Kasi sometimes what people do, and it took me a while also, and I'm not an expert on this, na pag, okay, this person is a rock, ignore ko na yan. Okay na siya eh. And then I move to the other problems. Diba? Then this rock resigns. Then you're rock bottom.
Oh my God, you are dead.
So yun. So it's sort of like try and force the succession.
Yeah. Now, okay, those are the two things, obviously family. But again, I always reference the 4 burners theory, right? That in life now, there's certain phases. And I asked this in our employee satisfaction rating in PNA, right? There's 4 burners that you should care about. And I think it changes as you grow along. The four burners is like a gas stove, technically. And the 4 burners is health, work, family, and friends. And obviously, in a certain phase of your life, some burners will have to be full on. Some burners are gonna even turn off. So like in my 20s.
And in this case, burning is a bad thing. Because it's burning?
No,
ba?
burning is like you're putting out all the gas there.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's really a big fire that you're supporting. Yeah. In my 20s, my most important thing was, work, family, friends, health. 20s. Now I'm 35. Man, it's different. It's family. I've always had family. Health. Work. Sorry, friends. My friends are are different, and that's my priority, especially now, which we will talk about later. Health. I just really received a really tough warning with the passing of Joseph, my co-founder. That at the end of the day, guys, you're given one vessel, and the most important startup that you have is your body. Because if you cannot take care of that, you can't do any great work at all. But for you, did those 4 burners evolve at one point? Because again, the one thing that needs in order for you to be able to give fire to those burners is time.
Yeah.
Right?
Pero actually, interesting. Kasi when you interviewed me in the first Hustleshare, that was my life.
Okay.
Trying to sort of see which part needs attention and sort of the burning.
And you don't know yet.
I feel like what changed in this journey for me personally, because I also have bigger piece.
Okay.
The question I feel is not what the 4 burners are. What's the Shelane, the gas tank?
Gasul.
The gasul. What's your gasul? Where does the energy come from?
How did you answer that?
Sa akin kasi it's spirituality. I feel like relationship with God is the gasul.
Wow. That's deep.
And if you have good gasul, the 4 burners can burn. Burn, baby, burn.
There you go.
And you will run out of gasul. Because it's not about the strength of the fire. It's the tank.
Correct.
Are you operating with the full tank?
Do you even have anything to burn?
Yes, diba? So, sa akin, that's what I needed to fix first. Now, within that, clear priorities. I agree with you. Family, now work, health, friends. Sadly. Diba?
Bye, friends. Again, startup founders pick other founders to become friends. Work and friends is one in the same.
Or quality. You just know who your good friends are, diba? So parang it's lesser, pero yun nga, sino ba talaga yung mga friends na, when my wife and I were having marriage problems, who were the people who were there? And we sort of still keep them with us, diba? Yeah. Now, pero to me, that's a soft ranking. To me,
that changes, huh?
It changes. But the way I sort of check for parang peace of mind. The gasul. Diba? Parang when I find myself having issues with one of the four burners, it's probably because may tangkas an issue.
Got it. But we use this also in P&A to also align with our work ethic and priority. I'm not saying that you shouldn't prioritize work.
Yeah.
But at the very early stage of startup life, if work isn't in your top two, we're going to have a problem. Right? Because in 0 to 1 and 1 to 10, if you're not here to ambag, if you're not here to put in work, then say 80% of the company is at least one have work in their first two priorities.
Yeah, patay.
How are we gonna align? And you're gonna be like, this company doesn't have boundaries.
True.
Right? Like, why are they asking me something at 10 p.m.?
It's a real struggle.
Right? It's hard.
It's really
and that's why it's one thing that I also enforce now with my one downs and their one downs. Is it aligned ba? Or at their are they at that stage of their life where they're changing those burners? That work is no longer whatever. And that's okay, by the way.
Yeah. Ganda ng tanong. Ako, it's a very, very hard to answer. Okay?
Yes.
I feel like as an employer, it's ideal. Sana naman 1 or 2 yung work, di ba?
Don't have work naman in your fourth.
Pero you're right, you can't fault them if it's not there.
It's a phase thing.
But siguro, it becomes a duty and a challenge on your end. How do you make work exciting for them? Yun na lang. That's the best you can do, di ba? Especially in this day and age. Iba na yung, it's not all about work anymore. And for us in Growsari, we're still 100% flex work.
Right.
People are not expected to come to office, to work from wherever, whatever. Unlimited leaves.
Wow.
We don't count leaves, right?
Wow.
And some people, I won't say abuse naman, parang take it a bit more casually than the others. But that's the choice we need to make. So ako, when that happens, either I'm not giving you enough of a challenge or you're not excited enough about going to work. That's what bothers me.
Yep. For me, it's also a phase. So for example, fresh grad, friends, health, family, work. Patay. We have nothing to talk about. Okay? But if you're, say, at your 30s and you've earned your keep and you know you can bring it, or 5 years in and you know na I'm pretty darn good, work's not priority, but when you ask me to work, boom, impact is felt. That's okay. So it's really a phase thing. And for young startup founders, if you're using the 4 burners theory, actually on the first level of interviews pa lang, we ask this na. What are your 4 burners? How do you prioritize? And we also take into consideration experience and of course the qualifications na. Right? Because if you're gonna tell me boundaries agad, fresh grad, good luck.
Tama naman.
Right? We have nothing to talk about. Right? Look for another startup, not ours.
Yeah. Maybe for a profitable company that has a lot of slack.
That's fine.
Startups.
But again, not in a startup where you're constantly experimenting. Okay, now I want to talk about health. This is super personal to me because I recently just lost, again, my best friend, co-founder. Right, I've learned how to. We were good friends, Joseph and I, but he became my best friend during this journey because it's a shared misery, right? And again, I almost had a health scare. I mean, I broke my ankle last year. I have hypertension. I don't eat right. I don't watch my weight. I still eat like a basketball player, though I don't exercise. But I found balance na. Joseph's recent passing, he wasn't able to take care of his health as well. It was super sudden. But I realized that, man, I mean, I knew this na, but it just really hit me hard, right? On that aspect where, shit, this can be taken all away in one snap without any warning because you weren't able to take care of your health. For you, how did you take care of? Did you have any health stuff before that you had to take care of? And what's your tip for founders in taking care of the one shot we have at this?
First of all, I'm really sorry to hear about your co-founder. I value my co-founder so much. I also don't know, I can't even imagine what that.
Nobody's ever dealt with this here in the Philippines.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, prayers to you. But health is health is an interesting one, right? Because I simply don't have the time to exercise. So the best thing you can do is watch what you're eating.
Yeah. Or
Diba?
cardio, 30 minutes. That's
Ganyan. Oh, diba? So hindi rin sa well, I can't say naman there's no formula because there are other co-founders. There are founders
That's
in the
batak.
Philippines that are also successful pero healthy.
Yeah.
Baka you should ask them what
I
they're
don't know.
doing. I don't know what
No,
they're
but
doing.
dude, this is just the biggest lesson. At the end of the day, okay, I'll describe to you my lifestyle. Party file, nightlife. 2
Right.
packs of cigarettes a day. I was always puyat.
Right.
I eat like shit. I eat carbs and again, I don't the worst shit. And then imagine all the toxins and sometimes it's drinking pa.
Yeah.
And that was in my 20s. Also, probably around, I went cold turkey when I was 27. But I put my body through so much wear and tear
Right.
that I feel like a lot of the pains I'm feeling now at 35 are shit that I put myself into. Because when you're younger, you don't feel it. You recover fast. You can put your body through so much. But what people don't understand is that by putting your body through so much suffering, there's a bill that you will pay.
Actually, you mentioned a really interesting point because in your 4-burner thing, I feel like it will also come naturally. Like even if you deprioritize health,
Correct.
but you prioritize family and work, for example,
Yeah.
you will end up taking care of your health.
Correct.
Because what you'll realize is that, you're gonna drink. And it's gonna take you 3 days to recover. That's 3 days of unproductivity.
Exactly.
Right?
Good
So
luck.
health per se is interesting because sometimes I'm talking about this apart from having an active exercise lifestyle. These are sort of maybe choices. And again, I'm not I'm not an authority on health.
Same, we're a little chubby.
By no means. But sometimes you end up making small decisions on your intake, your alcohol, your food, your sleep. Not because you're trying to be healthy.
Yeah.
But because you're trying to be a better family man, better leader, di ba? Better friend, etc. Actually, yung better friend, sometimes different kasi to be better friend is to drink all night with
the boys.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. So feeling ko some part of it will get captured.
Yeah.
And then maybe pick up a hobby. I don't know. Like I used to cycle a lot. I don't, now with time, it's hard to do that anymore. But this one is tough. I don't know. The other, when it comes to health, the one thing I sort of ask myself is, if I have 10 more years to live, let's say I'm healthy, and I'm supposed to live until 70, because I'm healthy, I can live until 80, for example.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with the extra 10 years of my life?
Sing. You're a singer.
Or something. So the way I think about it also is because you're right, anytime can be taken away from
us.
So if you're given 10 more years and you know what you want to do with those extra 10 years, then just do it now na lang.
You know what I realized during that part? I don't PNA, I'll push this as far as I can go. But the one thing I want to do forever is this shit. Until my last dying breath.
Even if you don't make money on this.
No, it's just, you know what this taught me? I was just so happy that I got to interview Joseph 2 to 3 times in this podcast, that whenever I just miss him, whenever I just need to learn from him again, I've immortalized his greatness. And whenever I just need it, I'll just go to my favorite podcast app, and it's just like he's there.
Yeah, man. Well said, well said.
And every single one of your journeys and lessons you've imparted in these podcasts are now immortalized, right? That hopefully founders of the future can learn from this, because a lot of the mistakes they're going to make are the mistakes we're already making now. It's just a different time.
Yeah.
Okay? Maybe you're dealing with AI now or Skynet. We'll see. Right? But bro, okay, the most important thing, before we take our last break, is trade-offs in relationships. You're the experts in plural, expert in this. Because again, for those of you who don't know ER's journey, he talked about it in depth in his very first podcast. But the trade-off you almost cost by doing Growsari is his marriage. How do you know if startup life is still worth it with the relationships you cherish? And how do you even have to choose, or how do you balance that out?
Maraming best ko to na-reflect. I think I want to be fair to Growsari that everything is my fault.
No, it is. The buck stops with us.
And I do think that it should not be a choice, I feel.
No, it's not a dichotomy.
Parang feeling ko, you have one life. Your life is multifaceted. And every single facet of that life needs to build to a story that you're trying to paint, diba? If one aspect of that is getting completely screwed, that walk away. Syempre people say, easy to say in hindsight.
Yeah, so you see. There you go.
Pero that's what I believe based from what I've parang like if Growsari is where it is now and it continues to prosper and I don't have my wife with me, meaningless. But I didn't know it at the time, right? Because I think it's I was just sort of being selfish. So I don't think you should get to a place where how do I choose? First and foremost, you need to figure out what's important to you. And then with whatever resources you have, make it work. Make it work, diba? Usually, if it doesn't work, it's because you're greedy.
How do you know when you had that balance na? Because at one point, you really chose Growsari over everything. But now, dude, I see the joy in you. I see that there is balance. You can see it with people where I can tell if a startup founder like, oh shit, you're in that hole. Because I was in that hole. Maybe I'm in that hole where everything just wrong.
Yeah.
But now there's this balance that I see, and it exudes. It feeds off of people, and you give a good balanced vibe.
Yeah.
How did you know that you already found that equilibrium, or again that balance of the push or pull that works?
Yeah. So, hindi ko alam how authentic this is gonna come across, but I'm really not doing this for money, because we've lived a life na naubos kami, nasagad kami, take care of our first baby at the time, diba? And we were able to find fulfillment in that emptiness. So no amount of bankruptcy will take away my peace, right? So that I need to protect that. That's the first thing. And frankly, if I'm in that zone, I'm a much better CEO anyway. So protecting that for me is also good for the company. Right? The other thing that I'm super blessed about is, when Growsari started, me and my co-founder, si Shiv, we discussed, before we launch, years before we launch, we said, at what valuation will we say that after this, everything is gravy?
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell the number because it's also his number, so I don't want to. It's not my story to tell, but we've crossed that number.
Okay.
So which means the number is not very high. Right? We're not a unicorn. So mababa pangarap namin, pare.
Okay.
So meaning
this is all bonus round na.
It's all bonus eh. So when we approach fundraising, we realize that when you don't want to share to investors, it's because you don't want to get diluted. Why? Because you want to get as much. It's a natural response, and you, as a founder, have all the right to do that. But to us, every time we're in this situation where we have to choose, we go back to the number, and then we tell that number we crossed. What are we talking about? Give an extra ESOP to the employee. Take the extra dilution. We're trying to build something here. This is much bigger than those individually, and eventually the four founders. So that helps me keep things in check. How much money do you really need in life? Diba? And plus the fact that even if you don't have money, if your peace of mind is sort of secure, you're good.
Right.
I don't know if I answered your question,
No,
but
makes
that's
sense.
sort of...
Bro, another lesson that Joseph taught me during his wake, right? So during Joseph's wake, he touched so many lives. It's one of the most fully packed wakes I've ever been on, right? Just goes to show how much he was able to really touch lives, solve problems, and be a good friend, and just an overall good person. People love him for that, and I love him for that. During the wake, probably 2 to 3 cubicles in, there was this pimped out wake. Full catering, big ass room, and whatnot. And for several days, I kept passing that. That room was empty the whole time. And that made me realize, like, okay, Joseph's hustled and struggled with me But look at the real ambag that he did. Look at what he did with his time to touch lives, to really make a difference. And you see it. Or maybe he's just really popular and cute. I don't know. But you can tell.
Mm.
Whereas I'm not saying that person in the other cubicle is whatever, but I'm just saying you can easily gauge the type of choices he made with his time and what he wanted to do. Nurturing relationships, helping people with their problems and the like. Where do you really want to end up, you have a pimped out whatever, you have all the stuff in the world, but what at what cost? Of your friends, your family. It's sad. But it's like, wow. This is the last lesson. One of the last lessons that Joseph was showing me that, we were aligned in that thing. We wanted to pay it forward. Yeah, again, hopefully when my way comes in, show up. There's a guest list. But yeah, I'm saying that's a trade-off there. What will you do with your time? Is it hustling at the expense of everything?
Correct. So, you're right. I mean, mawala na lahat. Wag lang values, relationship, purpose. Diba? As long as those sort of 2 or 3 things are there, everything is frankly negotiable. Right? And by the way, what is the statistics on successful startups anyway? Ano ba? 1%, 2%, diba?
Yeah.
So, but meaning you go into it knowing that
you're gonna fail.
There's a big chance that you're gonna fail. So the last thing that you want to do is to lose yourself in the process, diba? So just take the learning. I mean, most people go to startups to learn anyway. So make the most out of that, but don't lose yourself.
And when you fail, you have other startup founders like us.
Yeah.
We all failed. We'll hug you, bro. We'll make sure that again, your identity, your humanity is not attached to your startup.
Yes.
Hustle all you want, but draw a line.
Yep.
That is amazing. And when we come back, we will discuss ER's top 5 founders and we will continue the discussion about trade-offs. Well, let's talk about that more after the break.
Hey hustlers, PayMongo is your payment gateway for business growth. With PayMongo, you can accept online payments from your customers through Visa and MasterCard, debit and credit cards, GCash, Maya, GrabPay, online banking, BNPL, installments, and many more. All with just one platform. For business owners, online payment collection used to be such a pain. Long negotiations and paperwork, complex developer docs, and having to gather all these proofs of payment from your customers would be a serious drag in your operations. Now with just one partner, you can simplify all of that and focus on growing your business. PayMongo's story showcases the resilience of Filipino businesses in today's digital economy. During the pandemic, they became a lifeline to countless businesses by helping them go online quickly, serve their customers, and generate revenue. They have since grown exponentially and now support thousands of businesses from SMEs to venture-backed startups and even the most established enterprises in the country. PayMongo's products allow you to accept all types of payments with or without a website, and they continue to expand into more streamlined financial services. So sign up for free today. Visit paymongo.com to get your business activated in 1 week or less. Hey hustlers, I know how difficult it is to do fundraising at the moment for any startup or any business. And especially given this market where investors are afraid to write any significant check that would help your startup either scale or extend your runway, your options are very, very limited. But don't worry, I think I found a solution that just might help. So if you're seeking capital for your sari-sari store, online business, restaurant, or startup, CCAP's got you with a 24/7 fast and easy online loan application process, minimal paperwork, and real-time updates. Say goodbye to long lines and long waits with CCAP. UBX Philippines' online lending marketplace for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Choose from a wide variety of loan products from 5,000 pesos up to 1 million pesos from trusted lenders. With CCAP, you can apply for a business loan that's tailored to your needs, whether it's for capital, production, operations, or expansion. And check this out.
you can apply anytime, anywhere in the Philippines. So what are you waiting for? Sign up at www.ccap.ph. That's www.seekcap.ph and apply for a loan now. And we're back from the break. We are still with ER Rollan of Growsari, again, who told us amazing insight about trade-offs. And we'll continue that right now because, again, I think your candor in really coming clean with this trade-offs come from your comfortability of about talking about your failure. Unfortunately, not all founders are at that level yet. What do you think are the advice that we can give to those founders who are just like, yeah, those founders that when you came up, yeah, I'm okay, I'm doing like $1 million all the time. But I can tell, bro, I can look in your eyes and I see the pain.
Yeah. Tulog ka muna.
Okay. We can come clean. It doesn't have because this usually happens whenever there's a meetup. Whenever there's a meetup, nobody's failing. Everybody's, yeah, we're good. We just hit these metrics. Blah, blah, blah. And that's fine because you need to show that to investors. But to a fellow startup founder, bruh, come clean. Because if most of the time, when you come clean, the very first people that will help you, and this happened to me so many times now, are your fellow founders. How did you get comfortable, and what would be your advice for those founders who are scared of coming clean with their struggle?
Wala kasing upside yung image. In my view, like if you're trying to do it because you're trying to portray a certain image, I don't think there's an upside to it. Like what do you get out of it? Wala diba?
And you look weak pa.
I think so. I mean, depende naman, diba? Maybe they're having a hard time context switching between investor meetings and meeting. I don't know. Yeah. But walang upside. It to a certain extent even to investors. Investors, I feel like investors love founders who can recognize what they've done well and what they need to improve on. And yun nga, parang you're in this journey because you're trying to build. You have to be in constant rebuild mode. So, to me, yun ang advice ko. I don't think there's an upside. I don't think there's anything to gain from portraying I'm a perfect founder, whatever. Yeah.
We can tell. And bro, again, most people like to also be friends with people who are just comfortable. Like, bro, I'm so struggling with this shit. Because again, we live in a community where it's shared misery.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the day is bad. So let's just help each other out, because it's really fucked up sometimes. But okay, the most important trade-off before we talk about your top 5 is the route of the VC route or you're gonna go bootstrap. Because people have this, again, I drank this Kool-Aid. VC, my startup success is defined on how big my funding rounds are, how big the valuations, and if I'm not doing it, I feel like I'm a failure. I am FOMO. That we topped out at pre-A lang. We didn't get to raise an A. Oh, we didn't raise a B. But is that really the scorecard? And do you really need to raise that much money? Or you can go the most efficient, and all the successful businesses in this world are built on, which is built for profit. How do you, what's that trade-off like for you? And if you're just gonna give your full, unbiased, there's always bias, but your 2 cents on this.
The long and short of it is, if you don't need to take VC money, don't take it. I think, okay, so it's so that we can operationalize this, no? I think you mentioned it also when we were discussing before the show na the TAM, the addressable market is important. So, when you look at your valuation trajectory against what you think addressable market is, and there's a mismatch, don't even try.
Because they will always, look, again, a TAM, knowing what I know now, a good enough TAM should be at least in the $2 to $3 billion
at least
range.
At least.
That means the market's it's big enough for multiple players to win. Yeah. And if you just get 1 to 2% of that market, you're probably $1 million or
Yeah.
$1 million startup or $1 billion startup or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Something that you have a chance to win and it's not zero sum.
Yeah.
Right?
Or siguro, ito na lang, a little bit easier, no? You go to BGC, you go to Makati, right? How many people eat in fancy restaurants, drive fancy cars? How many of them are in startup? Very, very few.
Yeah.
Meaning, it's not the only way
Yeah.
to get to financial freedom, diba? It's one way. But you need to really be sure that that's like for our business, because it's a capital intensive business. I don't have a choice.
This shit's expensive. You're talking about trucks? Thousands of trucks, bro.
If I take the non-VC route, I would own 1% of the company today, right?
Oh, you have a fleet of tricycles, bro.
So in
our Toda business.
correct. In our example, VC works well because we need their patience, we need their capital to give us that headroom, diba? But if you don't, kasi the other thing is, how sure are you that you're gonna get along with your investors, diba? And that's another dynamic. Not all investors are founder friendly. So, diba, every time you take money, you also take liability. So, if you don't want the liability, don't take the money.
And it's not zero sum also, ha?
Yeah, for sure.
You can all actually tell, right? You can actually raise funds if, say, as a smaller TAM. Maybe angels.
Yeah.
Angels that have a value add and believe in that little thing. But when you raise, you're probably going to have 1 to 2 round stops, but you drive for profit.
Yeah.
Right away. Because if you go the VC route, they have a different agenda. They need to exit. You're one of the 10 bets that they did that hopefully you're one of the 10 that you're the one that offsets their 9 mistakes. That's the game. That's how the game is played. And an angel, say for example, smaller check, some angels are okay with just the dividend play, get the profit.
Yeah.
Dividend play. But you have to be very specific about that vision.
Yeah. Correct.
Because you can't be saying, uy, I will do VC play or angel round, and all of a sudden VC play. But you can actually do the route of when you realize that, okay, wait, I think we're no longer a VC play. And the future of this, though I've tried everything that I can, it's not a VC play. And it's not game over.
Yeah.
The mettle of a real startup founder is can you drive your company to a profit?
Yeah. Yep.
And still maintain the startup growth. Though not the same, not brick and mortar 30% naman, okay? Because that's too slow, right? Still fast enough, but growing at startup pace.
Agree.
Right?
And it's just something you have to, I think when you get into entrepreneurship, I think the problem that has happened now is you want to be an entrepreneur. People don't even describe it that way anymore. People say, I want to go into startup. Right? Without realizing that what they're really getting into is entrepreneurship. Yep. So you have to look at it from an entrepreneurship lens first. Yep. And then if you're looking at it from that lens, what problem are you trying to solve? What is the best way to solve that problem? Maybe take the VC route, maybe not. But if you start with the mindset na I want to join the startup ecosystem.
Woo! These are so cool.
Yeah, medyo mahirap yun. Right. Then it's not, it's not sustainable.
No, and at the end of the day, again, people are so enamored with the title CEO. You don't have to be a CEO to be a very productive startup contributor, right? Not everybody is built to be Batman. Sometimes you can thrive being Robin,
Alfred,
right? You can even be Martian Manhunter, right? Or Superman. You do everything. You're a solopreneur. But again, there's so many ways at this. Well, you can still be tech enabled. But again, consider if you're not sure, here's what I wish I knew. I'd ask those founders that are already in the middle of their journey. Because they will tell you like, oh my God, I made that mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done that. Because that's what we're rich with, bro. we're richer in mistakes than money. Because you fucked up so
If I
much.
can just use them to pay my bills.
Absolutely. I will be Elon Musk. I'm rich in mistakes, right? And we have to deal with that. Now, all right, last question before we talk about your top 5. I want to understand, again, moving on from mistakes, because there are mistakes that you can forgive yourself, and forgiving yourself. That's what I want to talk about. There are mistakes that you can easily move on from. Like, okay, fuck. Shit, I missed that. But there are, again, mistakes like what you talked about where you bring that cross with you to the grave na. How do you move with those things? Because again, as much as startup life, when it's good, it's really fun and you will never forget that high. But when it's bad, it's trauma. It's PTSD for real. And it fucks you up. How do you move on from, again, we have a collection of all these mistakes now.
Yep.
Of little things and the bigger things that you will really blame yourself for a long time.
Right. We talked earlier a bit about, success not defining you. Diba? Na parang it's not, the startup is not you, your identity is not tied to the startup. So, you cannot be defined by your success. You cannot be defined by your mistakes also. Right? It goes hand in hand. That's the beauty about it. Diba? You also take the other side of the fence. For me, oftentimes, it's more important to figure out what to do after kasi. Especially in the context of a business, diba? We made this mistake. Yes, everyone's pissed about it, but what's the next step? Often what happens is when you're beating yourself up about it, it's because it's your ego cannot let go. That how can I make that mistake? I'm so stupid. So the problem is not the mistake. The problem is your ego. Because you think you're too good to make that mistake. Diba? So, just focus on what you need to do on sort of as a next step, diba? And then, syempre, some people will maybe think about it differently na, hindi pala magaling si ER sa ganyan or magaling si dito pero dito, he's not an expert on. Well,
so what?
So be it, diba? We sort of, if you've gone this far in terms of you've set up a company, you've hired people, you've raised some money. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there were enough people who told you, "Are you sure you're good enough?" Diba?
Yeah.
Like if you're at this situation, this is not your first criticism anyway, diba? So now is not the time to. So meaning, just because you've become bigger, you cannot make mistakes na. So I think it's just ego.
Absolutely.
So just let that go.
That's amazing. All right. Now it's time to talk about ER's top 5 founders in the ecosystem. All right. We talk about this all the time. Again, I'll just set the rules.
Yeah. What are the rules?
So the rules is that you cannot pick yourself. We don't, there are narcissists. We all have a side of narcissism in all us. Let's admit it. But you also can't pick me because you're just fucking with me right You don't have to, make me feel better. It's not. Up to you. But no.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Who do you think are the top 5 founders here that we need to give flowers to? Because again, this ecosystem is beautiful, but we just don't praise our peers enough.
Yeah.
And let's immortalize it here on this podcast. All right, ER, who's your first pick?
Mel Nava.
Man, that girl is always in the top 5.
Ibang klase yun.
Okay. Why?
Ibang klase. As in, Hustleshare.
Yep.
I've always really just admired how relentless and hardworking Mel is. I mean, I like, if she's part of my team, I know we could go places.
Acquisition employee na.
Siyempre, hindi. Pero iba talaga. Like I've seen her, like I've spoken to her, the feedback of the people who've worked with her. I mean, if she's a good she should be the representation of
female founders here, no?
Or just founders in general. I mean, I'd be happy to submit to her.
Boss man.
Diba?
The can man.
So yun talaga. When you ask me this, parang yun agad eh. Yun yung without thinking, that was the first name that came up.
You know what I want to do in the end of the year? I'll have a top five founders or the ranking who got the most votes at the end of the year. And again, this is not fabricated. This is just what peers are doing of the year, like who were given the most flowers. Okay, next pick.
Ito medyo madaya kasi dalawa.
Okay.
Kasi they're a couple.
That's fine.
The Edamama couple.
Oh,
Diba?
Bella and
Nisha.
Yeah.
Basically.
The D'Souza's. Okay.
The
The
D'Souza's.
D'Souza's. Okay.
Because hirap nun they're married.
Yeah.
And they're
You
working
bring that
together.
to the bedroom, man.
Yeah. So I'm like,
they're raising a kid.
yeah. If only for, I mean, obviously they've built such an amazing business, and these guys are really, really strong founders.
Looks like he's a customer. That's why.
Oh yeah, we are. But I just admire how they're able to sort that thing
dynamic out.
Oh.
And still do startup growth.
Yeah, that's admirable. Like if, diba, I always tell my wife na I don't think I can do a business with you because I'm just too emotionally involved. So that would be my number 2 and my
and I
number
want
3.
peace in the bedroom before I sleep. Okay, I just want to talk about, hey, what's our PN? Like, wait, can you just sleep? Okay, can you just chill? Same. I can work with my wife, but not in a startup environment.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's your third pick?
The Angkas CEO.
George
Reca. Yeah.
Oh my
I think
God.
the actual founder is his wife.
Yep, I had them early also, 2020.
Yeah.
Angeline and George.
Yeah. And I picked them for the clarity of what they want to do. They're absolutely clear about the impact and the vision, and they're sort of just going after it. Ilan na yun? Pang-apat na yun.
Yeah, and you know what? No, third pa lang.
Kasi yung mag-asawa.
No, that's counted as one. Okay.
Hirap.
So
Okay.
basically, but at the end of the day, you know what, George, I recently had a chance. He invited me over to visit his new office. Oh my God. There's a slide and whatnot. But I asked him the $1 million question, and I'm not sure if I can say it, but I'll say it anyway. I was like, how many times did you raise? I think 2 to 3 times lang daw. Because they were just really good with their unit echo. Dude, their office, they have free food, Google style. How the hell are you able to afford this with just 2 to 3 raises? Because I've seen the Grabs of the world where they fucking raise a shit ton of money. And here you can do it to afford to be able to do this. Just right after the pandemic, I'm just mind blown. Unreal. And super down to earth. And again, he's the best evangelist that I've seen. It's like the way he can also switch up from having a tattler audience and be masang masa. I've only seen that from Brian Koo. Right? Like, oh my God, he just went from BCG levels to Kuya Cool. Right? That's amazing. That's a different, because I can't do that. If I do my Tagalog level, you will unsubscribe. To my shit, I swear. It's just not gonna work. Okay, last 2. Fourth pick.
Si Steve C.
Boss Steve.
Great deals.
Why?
I love how parang I'd want to, hindi naman sobrang tanda ni Steve versus me. Pero,
Boss Steve.
sorry. Pero I think he has a beautiful family. And I think he sort of imbibes a faith-driven life. I like how he keeps his faith at the center of.
You can tell
everything.
his 4 burners from afar.
Yeah.
Like family top, probably work second, but you can easily, it's flaming really well that Boss Steve is all about family. Not just him, I've had a chance. One of our podcasters, PNA, is Dennis C. Dude, he's helped out his siblings. They're all freaking doing well in this business. And all the other investees that he has, Soyao, all these other guys, 3 to 4 startups, Cocotel, Zagana, right? She even has an agency now, Mad Agency. All are doing well. And all driven for not the VC route. There's investments, all driven for profit. Sustainability. That's hard across the board. And again, it's just the common denominator. Boss Steve. Okay, last and final pick.
Si Brian Koo.
Lodi.
No, because you do it once, Yeah, you do it twice.
Chamba.
You do it like, I mean, just
Man.
the sheer, it's like if you ask me to do it again, even knowing what we've done and what I need to do, I will still think twice.
Yeah. You'll hesitate now.
I'll still hesitate. But he's just like, let's start something.
Without loss of passion at all. Okay, I'll just say it. If he's in my Mount Rushmore, he's in my top 5. Easy. Because it's like, this guy just never stops. Right? And the type of shit he does, it's not easy, ah. It's probinsya hustle, bro. Like, oh my God. And he has a family to, again, imagine the 4 burners of a Brian crew. And how scarce his time is. And he still makes it work. Wow.
So, iba rin.
And he still gets to hang out with Angelo and them.
Yeah.
Like, how are you able to do this, Brian? This doesn't make sense, but amazing. Right? That is such an amazing top 5. But before I let you go, ER, what is next for you guys in Growsari? And again, what should they look out for in the next coming month? I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the last time. If you enjoy this, we're going to keep doing this because now we have an avenue to discuss founder level stuff. Because I can only do so much biography. What's your hustle type of shit, right? But we can now talk about these things, and hopefully you'd be down again to guest on Founders Only. But again, what do you wanna? What's up next for you guys in Growsari, and what should we look out for?
I think we should just sort of continue to build as much. Our investors call it conveyor belt. So we've built a conveyor belt towards the barangays that we serve, and now it's all about putting as many stuff on top of the conveyor belt. So you can expect us to extend the conveyor belt to more provinces, but at the same time put more stuff into the conveyor belt.
Spoken like an FMCG guy. Talking about conveyor belts already.
But I do think that as an overall vision, we want every single MSME owner in the Philippines to not just be part of the digital revolution and the financial inclusion story, but to actually be the catalyst for it. And we're hoping that the infrastructure that we're building will sort of just help them be part of this. So hopefully.
That is amazing. But before I let you go, ER, follow us and like, comment, and subscribe on this YouTube channel. Again, we're on YouTube. And again, if you're listening through the podcast, they're also available in every podcast app. So it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any type of podcast app. And also, if we did say some jargon, it's going to be in the show notes on hustleshare.com. And lastly, if you want to be part of the community and be involved in how we create all these podcasts and all that, please follow us and subscribe at the premium.hustleshare.com so you can also be part of great episodes like this. Again, ER, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Thank you so much for watching Hustleshare on YouTube. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel to get more content like this. And to get the full audio episodes of Hustleshare and Founders Only, subscribe to our podcasts at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.